Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Parish Construction and Roofing. If you need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. If you need a roof, you call Parish. Of course, Unique Physique, uniquephysique.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and On Fire Athletes, the platform powered by Gamecoin. Getting everything set up here, and glad to have y'all with us. A little bit of a hectic week commuting back and forth from New Orleans there on Radio Row, or Media Row, I should say. Yesterday, day one, pretty successful, but I think as we've learned, first time doing this, I think everything really starts to ramp on Wednesday from all accounts. So, good day yesterday. Good day one. Had Blake Groupie on the show. Actually started the show with Blake Groupie. He was walking around. We're like, hey, you want to come on the show? I was like, come on. So I had Saints kicker Blake Groupie on the show yesterday. My buddy Joe Lisi from the Sports Grid was on with us yesterday, and many, many, many more coming today. So excited about that. All right. We'll dive into it. LSU added 2 analysts on Monday. Tim Rattay is one of them, which that was interesting to say the very least. So Tim Rattay, I think everybody from around here remembers. Tim Rattay played collegiately at Louisiana Tech. He was one of the most successful. But when he left Louisiana Tech, he was second in like a whole bunch of career categories. Like I think he had the NCAA record for passing yards per game average. He had over 12,000 career yards in his career, which at the time was an NCAA record. So, I mean, he led some of those high-powered offenses at Louisiana Tech. Played just under a decade of professional football, and then got into coaching. He finished his football career with the Las Vegas. I looked it up yesterday. It was a UFL team, Locomotives, the Las Vegas Locomotives. And then started his coaching career. Actually spent like 8 years back at Louisiana Tech with Joe Sloan, and now the last 5 years has been at as the quarterbacks coach at Oklahoma State. So he had Spencer Sanders at Oklahoma State, had Alan Bowman, and then was there this year when everything just unraveled on him. So there's a lot of reasons to love hiring Tim Rattay, especially this year with Nussmeier back as a senior. So you get an NFL quarterback, a dude that was a highly successful college quarterback, a dude that has coached quarterbacks at a high level, and a guy that's worked with Joe Sloan. You want good synergies on offense. That's a pretty good recipe. So I love that. They also added Noah Joseph. This is an interesting one. So while I have not yet heard what Noah Joseph's focus is going to be, he's a guy that's been in coaching for 25 years, but the last 2 years, he was the general manager at Purdue. Had just in December, like 2 months ago, was hired, not even 2 months ago, was hired to be the GM at ECU. And now 6 weeks after taking that job, he's headed to LSU as a defensive analyst. For 20 years, primarily, he coached safeties. He was a co-DC at Indiana. So he's probably coming in to lend a hand with the safeties, with Jake Olson, the safeties back there. So got to improve talent, but you got a guy with 20 years experience coaching that position. I don't think that hurts. So a couple more additions to the staff for LSU. I like it a lot. Okay, let's say some good morning, y'all. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. You know the drill. Anything about anything, fire away. Tim Gotro, what's going on? Good morning. Devin, what up, bro? What up? Brian Wynn, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning. Rooney, good morning. Fish, what's good, Fish? Hope you're doing great. Thomas, morning. Glad to have internet back. Yeah. 30.75. Why do I only get a quarter play whenever I play it twice, Thomas? Yes, it was weird. Yesterday morning, internet in our house was out, so I ended up doing an in-transit edition. Hey, Brian, good morning from Detroit. What's all this stuff going on with the Saints, the controversy? Yeah. So this is a story that's kind of been lingering now for like 5 years. I'll try to oversimplify it. So there are allegations in the Archdiocese of New Orleans of abuse from priests. And when that story was going to break, apparently the church consulted some of the Saints leadership with how to handle that from a PR standpoint. The Saints initially said that their involvement was very minimal. It was just they asked for advice, gave them, whatever. Yesterday, there were more than 200 emails that leaked that detail a much more significant involvement. And as a result, not going anywhere. It's also no coincidence that was released the Monday of Super Bowl week when the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. But I can't add anything more than what we've seen. So we're just all going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But that's basically the story. Hey, Abner Neal, good morning. Daniel Roof, morning, Matt. Love the staff Kelly's assembled where they can put it on the field. Yeah. It's hard. I'm thinking of the staff. Like, it's hard to find fault with anything on the staff. You have, on paper, all the right people in the right seats on the bus. And you went and built a great roster. It's just really going to be a matter of staying healthy. Some things that are out of your control, like staying healthy and stuff like that. And then, making it through a season. Brad David, morning. Just take your 5-hour energy before you go in there. So, Brad, I, especially after starting my Gary Brecka protocol, learning that the form of B12 in a lot of energy drinks is cyanocobalamin, I have really tried not to take 5-hour energy. It works. It's very effective for me. But I also don't like putting cyanide in my body. So today, incidentally, is the first day. It came in yesterday. I'm going to be trying a new product today. This is not an endorsement because I've not tried it. I don't know. But I've heard Joe Rogan talk about NeuroGum. Now, I didn't order the gum. They also have mints because I don't want to be chewing gum on air like a certain gum smacking GM did at a press conference. So they're mints that have like L-theanine and some other natural supplements in there that are supposed to give you like brain clarity, focus, all that stuff. So I'm going to try that today, and I'll let you know how it goes. Hey, Gary, good morning. Tyga Poppy, Irfan Sayad Gamogan. Bailey C., if you're ever on the North Shore, the Lit Rooster is a good cigar bar. Good to know. Going to try to get that one. It's very good. Okay, Lit Rooster. I'll remember that. I get to the North Shore every now and again. Brian Jones, morning, Matt. Sent you a text. Wanted to confirm if you received it. Want some more information on the body transforming Gary Brecka speaks about. I've been doing a little research. Let's see, Brian. Okay, you just sent it like this morning. Okay, I'll reply. Let's see. Yeah, I'll reply to you. Cool. Rocky, morning, Matt. What do these analysts make on average? Some of them barely 6 figures. The every year Tiger Rag does the money issue, and they list everybody's salary in the entire athletic department. Let's see. Okay, so this is old, but in 2018, LSU had 10 analysts that were paid. They were paid a total of $595,000. So that was 2018. So that was 7 years ago, but they were paid a total of $595K for 10 of them. So the average was 59.5. Some would make more, some would make less, obviously. But like that's why, for example, Lance Guidry. So Lance Guidry just got fired at Miami. His buyout was $3 million. Well, he's getting paid $3 million from Miami. He can come to LSU, work for $50K, be on the LSU staff as a launch point to whatever his next on-field job is at LSU or elsewhere, and it makes sense, right? Because he has that buy. So like that kind of thing makes sense. But it's not much for the analysts. Robbie, good morning. Would you like to see the Saints trade for Cooper Kupp? No. And I did see that this morning. Apparently, the Rams are aggressively trying to trade Cooper Kupp. The answer, Robbie, is always, and I probably will do a segment on this today on the air. The answer is you always explore every possibility, right? But Kupp is 31 years old at this point. So he is later in his career. And he apparently, from what I understand, he wants to go where, from his statement, he wants to go where he can go competing for championships. That's not New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is nowhere close to competing for a championship. So giving up an asset like a draft pick, which would be a young and expensive player, to trade for an old expensive player does not make sense for the New Orleans Saints. If this were 2020 and Drew Brees were still there and you were all in to win a championship in 2020 and you wanted to trade for Cooper Kupp because you felt like it was another weapon for Brees, yes, it's not 2020 anymore. Jason, good morning, Matt. Cox is performing upgrades. Lost internet 3 days last week on and off. Yeah, we did Saturday too. We lost internet Saturday and then we lost it yesterday also. All right, please smash the like button if you would, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. Let's see, you mentioned a couple times Catholic High won the high school baseball national championship. How does that work? Is there a tournament to determine it? Is it a voting thing? Yeah, it's voting from there's several different entities that award them. So Max Preps named Catholic High the national champions. So it is a recognized thing. There isn't a tournament where you go play it out, but it is a recognized thing as teams are crowned national champion. It happens in all sports, really. I remember we played Evangel in 1999, and they were the high school football national champions. Thomas. Brian watched the Greg Brooks interview yesterday. Thoughts and prayers to his family. Yeah, man. I mean, I know people had asked all along how, like all through that, like, how's Greg Brooks? And I kept saying, just he has a long recovery and a long way to go. Now, yesterday was the first time I had heard Greg speak since the surgery, but I've been told a lot of that, right? Like therapy and speech and all that's having to relearn everything is jarring to see. There's one thing that, and look, I give that family everything they need to make sure Greg is taken care of to get everything he needs for the rest of his life. Okay. I want to be very clear about that. The one thing, and I don't know if there was anything new in that Good Morning America piece. Good Morning America cited the lawsuit, which we've all known the allegations already. It was the first time we obviously heard Greg Brooks and his family speak out, and saw pictures and videos and things like that. The one thing that made me go, is when they said when he was initially sick, he was vomiting, he passed out, was vomiting, nausea. And they said the symptoms persisted for 38 days, 38 or 39 days. And and then he went to the doctor. I would want clarity there, because if you're passing out and vomiting for 38 straight days, it's hard to believe you wouldn't go see a doctor before that. But I would just want clarity. All right, sorry. Oh, well, hang on one second. Just to lighten the mood. I have to go stop Drew's backpack. So here you go. Or turn on the light. Stop the sound machine. Here you go, Thomas.
Parish Construction and Roofing. At Parish, we've got you covered. From the top of your roof, all the way down. Parish Construction and Roofing. Parish built. Parish built. Parish built. From your hometown. ParishBuilt.com.
Parish Construction and Roofing. Remember, if you need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. If you need a roof, call Parish or go to ParishBuilt.com. Let's see. Where are we? Robbie, thoughts on Chip Kelly leaving Ohio State for the Raiders? Yeah, aren't they paying him $6 million? Dude's going to go make $6 million to be an offensive coordinator. Doesn't have to worry about recruiting, NIL, any of that. Yeah, awesome gig. David, good morning. Glenda, good morning. Tommy, good morning. T-Bob and Jake giving you a hard time about how you ate the broth yesterday. Yeah. So like, that's not how I would normally eat a hot dog or a bratwurst. However, if you're watching the video, Alondra took a bite from the end, as you typically would, and all she got was a mouthful of bread. And I was like, so this is how you do it if you're trying to get a full taste of everything, is you go to the middle. So you take it, eat it like this instead of from the end. Anyway, that's all. Justin Harper, good morning. Where can I get LSU baseball tickets? You think they'll have them at the box? Yeah, man. So they do have tickets that go to sale to the general public on the day of games. There's usually a long line of people waiting at the ticket office to get them. You can always go to I don't know if it's SeatGeek or StubHub or whatever it is, but you can go to the secondary market price. And I mentioned those specifically because one of them is like the official ticketing marketplace. I think it's SeatGeek of LSU, but there's tons of different websites that have tickets. Like Game Time is a great sponsor of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's a great ticketing app. If you never use Game Time, shout out. So, but you can get them. Seth, sad to see Greg Brooks talk on GMA. He was done bad. LSU, the doctors that operate him. You know, Seth, like another thing I want to say is one of the allegations is that the surgeon that operated was not qualified. It is also my understanding that the surgeon that operated is like the most renowned neurosurgeon in Louisiana. So there are some things that are incongruent. And that's why I would just say, like, listen, what happened to Greg Brooks is awful. And I said it from the beginning, LSU needs to make sure that young man has everything he needs to be the best version of himself for the rest of his life. Okay. Like that to me is black and white. There is no gray area at all with that. Like it is the right thing to do. But if you're trying to talk about fault and negligence and things like that, like sometimes someone goes into surgery and there is an error made and people are held liable and should be. Sometimes there's risk with having brain surgery. And again, I don't know. I don't know the answer, to be very clear. I'm just saying there's always two sides to every story. So, like, is it possible that this was a thing where Greg Brooks had symptoms? He was diagnosed with vertigo. He was feeling fine. Symptoms came back a month later. They got him tested, found out he had a brain tumor, went into surgery, and there were complications. Like, is it possible? Sure, it is. I don't know. I'm just what I do know is what the state Greg Brooks is in is awful. It's an awful, awful thing to see. And LSU should do right by him and his family and make sure he has everything he needs forever. Like, I think that we would all agree on. But is there negligence and liability? I don't know that I definitively know that. None of us know that for sure. Hey, Quentin, good morning. Jason, good morning. Tara Walker, good morning. 40th birthday today. All right, Tara, happy birthday, man. The big 4-0. Cheers to you, man. Hope it's a great one. Hope everybody at work treats you great, man. Family at home and everybody. Dude, that's awesome. Happy birthday. Make it a great one, dude. It only gets better. Seth rushing, BK not even reaching out to him. That's another thing, Seth, but I would say if that's true, that is a terrible representative of the character of a man. If that's true. I'm not saying it is or isn't. Did he do nothing? Did he not do enough? There's two sides to every story. It's where you don't jump to conclusions after a 6-minute feature piece. It's emotional, no doubt. But don't jump to conclusions with all this stuff until you know what both sides have to say. It's not an easy thing to do. I get it, because you look at Greg Brooks in that video and that piece, and it's moving. Like, it's jarring and it's devastating. It's all of that is so true. But there's always two sides to every story, man. So, like, hear the other side. Hey, Brett, finally got back at the cold plunge yesterday. Still worth it, man. Already did mine this morning. Thomas, congratulations, T-Bob and Hester, for being recognized. Yeah, man. So for those who didn't see it, Barrett Sports Media, that's the conference I went to in New York last year, going in a few months to Chicago. They put out their rankings, the top 20. So it's like top 20 small market morning shows, midday, afternoon, mid-market, large market, national stations, all these different categories. And so T-Bob and Hester for Off the Bench were ranked 7th in the mid-size market morning shows. And y'all, candidly, I got to vote for that this year. So I got to vote for that this year. And like, you get the list of all eligible like nominees in each category. So it was like mid-market sports radio program directors, mid-market sports radio stations, mid-market sports radio morning shows, mid-market sports radio midday shows, mid-market sports radio afternoon shows, national sports radio shows. There was something else. Anyway, point is, there's like a ton. Like, here's some of the markets represented. Okay, Charlotte, Birmingham, St. Louis, Kansas City, Nashville, Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Austin, Portland, Columbus, Salt Lake City, Milwaukee, Vegas, San Antonio, Indianapolis, Sacramento. I mean, like, big cities. Like, they're at the top of the mid-market, right? Baton Rouge is like the bottom of the mid-market. As far as size, we're market 75. Like, some of those are like top 40 markets. You may have someone that's like a market 30, right? So, like, for example, here's the top 100 radio markets. So like I just mentioned, Portland was in there. So Charlotte is market 21. Portland is 22. Baltimore 23. St. Louis 24. San Antonio 25. You get my point. Like Salt Lake 27. Sacramento 28. Austin 29. Orlando, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Cleveland 35. Columbus 36. Indianapolis 38. Nashville 40. Anyway, Baton Rouge is 75. So like in Baton Rouge, we're going up against market 20. And so, like, it's a big gap in the mid-sized market, and Baton Rouge would be at the bottom of the mid-sized market size. And to be that highly ranked shows you've done an amazing job of branding and penetrating people's awareness, which is awesome. So, okay, I got 3 minutes left. I'm sorry. Let me go fast. Brian Jones, Matt, the Doomsday podcast was awesome. Would you mind doing one that's the goal opposite? Best case. Okay. Yeah, I love that idea. Okay. It was on Locked On, by the way, if you want to check out Locked On LSU. Big Wade, let's see, do you think a new coach will have a hard time taking control of the locker room with everyone wanting Rizzy to coach? No, because ultimately, man, you're still talking about professionals. Like, these are guys getting paid and they all want to keep their jobs. So you fall in line because you have to or you're going to lose a job. So I don't worry about that. Bo can't have contact with him because of the lawsuit and have his press conference before the lawsuit happened. You better report on it if that brain gum works. I will. Trust me. Weston Weaver, good morning. Jerry enjoyed the interview from the New York LSU fan. If he does go to the game, definitely needs to be a Don Milani, fit right in. Yes, that's Joe Lisi, man. So Joe Lisi from Sports Grid, who's great. He grew up in New York, New Jersey. He lives in Jersey now. And he's an awesome guy. He was the chief researcher for ABC Sports, I think in the 90s, like very close with the Bowden family. Joe's a fascinating guy. I met Joe through Carly. When Carly was in Cleveland, she got connected with Joe. And so then Carly came back to Baton Rouge, started working with AFR. She got Joe on regularly as a guest. I haven't seen him in a long time. But anyway, he saw him yesterday on Radio Row. He came and did a segment with me on the show. But he is like, it's weird. He's a guy who lives in Jersey, who is like a legit LSU fan. If you were listening to the interview, he kept saying "we" the whole time. Like, I mean, he is he went to a D3 school to play football, but he is an LSU football fan and has been for years. It's crazy. Like he'll rattle off like Jeff Wickersham and he's been an LSU fan for years. So it's really cool to get that perspective. So, Chance, was Bryson Martinez not at LSU junior day? Don't know. Let me ask. Shay's on today, so let me ask Shay. I'll get that. I mean, all I know is like the stuff that I saw from Twitter that I cobbled some of my takeaways from. But I'll ask Shay. Did you find out more on Nick Brissett and Jacoby Stevens? I got some idea. I think a big part of it is, which I talked about in today's Locked On, is I think they are cutting staff for financial purposes. I don't think it's the only reason, but I think it's part of the reason is they're cutting staff because of revenue share. Let's see. Monty Tall, disagree, Matt. LSU had to go with 7-year contract on the next basketball coach. Firing away cost you everyone. Could have hired a 4-year guy for the same results. Yeah, but listen, don't get it twisted. Could you have hired a coach that would have taken a 4-year deal? Yes. It would not have been a very accomplished coach. If you wanted a coach like Matt McMahon, who was an accomplished coach at the time you hired him, you had to give him reason to leave a very good situation he was in. That's the difference. So maybe it's a little bit of semantics, but yeah, they could have hired me for a 4-year deal. Sure, they could have. And you would have gotten the same results. But you don't hire a coach thinking that's the results you're going to get. Okay, I got to go. My apologies, y'all. It's 7:46. I'm already late. Have an awesome day. Please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, Facebook, like the page, share the post. All of our sponsors linked in the description on YouTube, tagged on Facebook. Locked on LSU is live. Please go check it out. We'll see you for AFR 3 from Media Row at the Super Bowl.